Hello, Spectrum Women. It is I, Becca Lory Hector, here with the April Asking Spectrum Women. I can't believe it's April already, you guys. Yeah, it's been over a year since we've been dealing with the whole pandemic, quarantine, shutdown, nonsense thing. And That's crazy. Last April was insane, if you guys remember it. Last April was all about canceling every April conference. All of Autism Awareness Day just disappeared. We barely had one last year because we were all consumed with this stuff. So welcome to Autism April, the reboot, maybe we'll try. I don't know. We'll see how it comes out, you guys. I'm interested. I'm interested to find out what this year is going to be like. I know there'll be a lot of virtual stuff, and that will make avoiding a lot of it very difficult. But anyway, I myself am just adding to Autism April the stuff that I think is important, which has to do with autism culture and autism pride. So I'm going to be offering 2 seminars, you guys, in April. They are part of my Self-Defined Living course. The Self-Defined Living seminar series will be standalone seminars that you can take either as continuing education as part of your Self-Defined Living journey, or you can take it as a one-off if you have no interest in it. So in April, I am going to be kicking it off because if it has nothing to do with autism quality of life and it doesn't have to do with celebrating our culture and pride, I don't want to have to deal with it in April. So I'm just doing 2 things. On Tuesday, April 13th at 5 p.m. MST, I will be doing a seminar called Unraveling Masking. And we're going to be doing that. So we're going to be talking about unmasking on April 13th at 5 p.m. MST. And then I'm also going to be doing on Tuesday, April 27th, I am going to be talking about debunking disclosure on April 27th at 5 p.m. MST. So those are the 2 seminars that I'm going to be doing. Following that, they'll be coming out once a month. And they're just going to be like an easy $20. Come watch if it's a topic you're interested in finding out more about or you need some help with. Otherwise, whatevs. Share it, pass it on, get to know it, mark your calendars. The info about it and registration is on my website already, actually, beccalory.com. And that's LORY.com. And of course, you will also, if you follow me on social media, you will also get information about registration. So that's it. I just had a little business announcement here before we get into April's questions, you guys. And the beginning of April's questions actually was supposed to be a January question, for which I owe a huge apology to the person who sent me the email, and then she kindly reminded me that I skipped it. So I sent her own video answer a while ago, but I now want to answer the question kind of publicly and take us back for that. And if you sent me questions for this month and I don't get to it in this month's questions, look out for it in May. If you don't see it in May, Becca done forgot it. That's what happens. I'm a one person. I make mistakes. So if you put it in for this month, I didn't answer it. You wait for the next month, I still didn't answer it. Send me another email. Chances are I lost it in the shuffle somewhere and I don't intend to. So I will also record you, should I do that, a video answer of your own, and then I will get to your question. I promise. I do not want to leave anybody out, especially unintentionally. Okay, so here we go. So this is the beginning of a relation. So, the beginning of a relationship is always nice. You see each other once in a while and have a good time, and then you can go home. I try to bring up the need for solitude early on because it has caused problems for me in the past. Every time the answer is, of course, that they understand and they see it the same way, and let's keep it simple. And then they start calling more often and inviting me to everything and getting annoyed that I'm never the one to call first, and they feel left out and suspect that I'm not invested, and they're confused and sad and angry, and then I get into meltdowns and blah, 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 blah. So the question is, does this sound familiar? How can I avoid this from happening again without giving up on relationships completely? Well, that is hard. Right? So here's the deal. The natural evolution of relationships is that, right? You have a certain amount of distance from somebody. And over time, that difference gets smaller and smaller and smaller until either you guys hate each other and you break up, or you decide you want to spend the rest of your lives together, whatever, that train might be, right? And that's kind of the way it is. It does create a problem for people who don't need that much, right? Like, I just don't need that much time with you. I just need a lot more time on my own. And I just don't need to be doing that many things, right? So there's two things going on here, right? One of it is that people expect that a relationship is sort of going to move in a certain direction, and they kind of know it's going well, or it's an important relationship kind of the longer and the closer they get, right? So I can see why this would be a problem, right? People hear you in the beginning, and that's all fine and well until they want it to continue to grow, and then they're like, what the hell is wrong, right? So I see it. They don't hear you all the way. And so here's the thing. In order to get people to hear you all the way, we need to repeat a lot. The other part of this thing is that you want to make sure that you're with somebody that you're compatible with. The truth is that if you're somebody who doesn't need a lot of social, doesn't want to do a lot of social, doesn't need a lot of closeness, right? You probably won't be comfortable dating someone who is the opposite, because they're always going to be wanting to go out. They're never going to want to be staying home with you. They're always going to be wanting to be doing something, right? And that incompatibility can also create that problem. So I want you guys to be looking out for both of those things. But I say repetition is the key, because you need to make sure that every time that situation comes up, especially early on and as the relationship is developing, to continue to say, no, remember how I said I really need a lot of alone time and I really need space from that, right? Maybe it goes as far as you would never be comfortable living with someone else, right? I don't know your particular situation, but you are correct to be clear, and you are correct in wanting to know why that changes on you. And that's sort of my understanding of it. Is it okay? And are you allowed to have a relationship go in a different direction? 5,000,000%. There is somebody out there who wants the same relationship that you do. They want the same things out of a relationship. And that's why it's important to find that compatibility and to test out that compatibility. But you can't force compatibility. That's the thing. There's always resentment when we force compatibility. So we don't want to get into that habit. So that's sort of what I would do. I think that you need to maybe get out sooner. And realize sooner that they really aren't hearing you, right? Or maybe, you need to change the way you kind of begin dating. Maybe you explain, I'm not interested in marriage. I'm not interested in living with someone. Maybe that's the clarity that people need. I'm unsure. It's going to take a little bit of experimentation, but your point of view and your way of wanting a relationship is totally valid. And there's someone else out there who wants that too. You just have to find each other. And so just, know that when you're in an incompatible relationship, trying to make it work, you're kind of wasting time that you could be out there finding the person that you are compatible with. So that's sort of my advice on the topic. Sorry for leaning close and doing all of that stuff. Oof. Sorry about that, you guys. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. I have to find the question in here. Okay, I'm trying to question the difference between a special interest being a healthy thing and or something that you can't or won't let go of. Like a person you can't let go of until you feel you've understood enough about it. Or even when there's been a lack of closure, or even a habit that's not good for you, but you won't stop doing it. What if there's a lack of balance in these things? What if you're someone that fills up a lot of your time collecting shit and can't walk through your house? For me, it's been emotional and psychological stuff that I collect. Okay, so here's what really the question is. The question is, when is it important to let go of something? When is it an unhealthy thing, right? And when is it kind of okay to hang on to it, to process it through? And I like the idea of equating relationships with, and that's what, sorry, you guys didn't get to hear the rest of the email, but it was also it was a relationship question. Like if that person or that relationship is that special interest, how do you go about letting go of that? When is it time to let go? When have you hung on too long? Right? And so here's what I say. For me, the general rule is if something that you're obsessing about is interrupting your day, if it is making it so that, You can't focus and concentrate and get done the things that you need to get done, right? If you are missing out on opportunities because of the ramifications of this obsession, it is time to stop. Some of us need someone else's help to stop. We need a cheerleader, a support system to get us through, especially when it's been a really important relationship for us. Other folks that struggle in this way are folks who have borderline personality disorder. They also struggle with letting relationships go and having people feeling like they're being abandoned and things like that. What we need to remember is that we can't make people stay, and we can't make relationships work. And obsessing over them and making them your one and only thing, right? And then not being able to let it go isn't a healthy way to be, right? Nothing in your life, not even your special interest, should occupy so much of your time that you are not able to do other things, right? That you're not able to take care of yourself. And so that's really my rule of thumb. I also want us to be careful here because these kinds of setups can make us make other people uncomfortable because we forget our boundaries, right? We forget that this person wanted to walk away from this relationship and we're not giving them the space because we're still needing to process and we're not ready to let it go. Right? And that kind of thing. So we need to be careful that we don't overstep people's boundaries while we're in this process. That's another really dangerous space to get into in here. And I think a lot of us can obsess so much that we forget about other people's boundaries. But if someone else was in this relationship with you and they're sort of done with it and you're not okay to keep bothering them about it. You got to figure out some other way to process through it. That's sort of my take on that question. I hope that was a sufficient answer. I hope that it helps a little bit. With that, I will move on. If you need clarification, if you want a better answer, feel free to email me again, and I will do my best to answer it again, I guess. Let us move along. Next question. I have just been diagnosed as an older adult. I've spent the last 5 years focusing on getting support for my son. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Getting support for my son after his diagnosis. I can see struggles all through my life, but now I'm at a loss to think about what support I could ask for. Any suggestions? Where does it go after adult diagnosis? Whew. Well, you guys, this is a tough one to answer. Because the truth is it doesn't go very far. Right? Part of the reason I am a huge advocate for self-diagnosis these days is because I don't quite see the value in paying for a formal diagnosis right now. It does afford you some things. You can apply for some government funding. You can, probably get some health coverage help, things like that. But mostly, a formal diagnosis has to be done for you as an adult. Otherwise, our services and supports are few and far between. That is the truth. You are not going to find as much out there as you found for your kid. No way. You may have to adapt the stuff that you use for your kid for you. But the beginning to any and all of this situation is to get out there and get involved with our community. Find the other autistic adults. They are your key. They are living with the same challenges. They have run into the same closed doors. They have figured out ways to get through. I've had a diagnosis for 8 years. You're just figuring it out now, like we all have different experiences to share. And so that is my advice to you. That's where I would start. I would start with finding advocates that you really like to follow and reading articles about that kind of stuff and finding groups of autistic adults. Do some researching in your area. I don't know where you live, so do some researching for some nonprofit autism organizations and see if they offer support groups and things like that. Reddit has a lot of stuff. Facebook has a ton of stuff. Facebook is our original community, so you will find most of it on Facebook. But get out there and look for us. Because when you envelop yourself, when you go ahead and surround yourself with our community, you'll learn the things that you need to know. And where do you begin? Well, begin by reading some really good books. The one behind my head, burp, right there, burp. spectrum women, right? Written by 15 women on the spectrum who were diagnosed late in life, who have things to share with you. Great place to start. Other people's memoirs are also good to start with. But look for the other adult autistic voices. See if you can find voices that resonate with you and find your people. The next thing is, of course, to think about what that diagnosis means to you in your life. What are the parts of your life that you're uncomfortable in, that you would like to see changed? And can you change them now with this new information on board? Think of it as a way to make new informed decisions. You are being given a window into yourself you never had before. So by all means, spend some time getting to know yourself. And figure out some of those triggers, figure out the autistic parts of you. You have to learn your own brand of autism. And those are the ways to do it. Those are my recommendations. So keep hanging out and watching Spectrum Women. Keep following Spectrum Women Connect if that's where you found me. I do Neurodiversity Newsstand also. It's a news group. And I, of course, do live streams on my YouTube channel that you're more than welcome to enjoy as well. But get out there and find us. There's not just me and my stuff. There are so many of us out there. So you need to find the advocate that resonates for you and the group of people that resonates for you. That's what it's about. So yay, and welcome to the tribe. Congratulations. It is the most important thing you will ever learn about yourself. Congratulations. Let's see. Moving on. Next question. What are the reasons so many of us go over conversations and analyze them? I certainly do, and I've now given myself the freedom to do it rather than push myself to just move on. My husband doesn't think twice about a phone call he's had or an interaction with someone. He just moves on to the next thing. Do you have any insights? So I think it's a combination of things here. We tend to obsess over those conversations, especially as we're newly diagnosed, because we're always looking for the autism in everything now, right? We're looking to see if our conversations reflect our autism. Do other people notice our autism in our conversations? The other thing is that we've lived a life where we've made so many social mistakes and so many social blunders that the only way we've learned not to make them is to analyze our previous situations and memorize those mistakes so that we don't make them again, or memorize the way that someone else did it so that we can do it that way the next time. And I think that's the real core underneath the analysis of our interactions. It's making sure we didn't make mistakes, making sure that we did the right thing and behaved the right way, right, in quotation marks. And then, of course, we go over it to make sure that we take whatever lessons we can learn from it, that we can suck the pattern from it, whatever it is that we're learning. And I think that's where it all comes from. We're desperately always trying to understand the world around us. And so we've learned that observation is key to our understanding of everything. And so we observe and re-observe in our own brains to make sure that we're taking all the things we need to from those social situations. And so I really believe that that's the core of what that comes from. There are, of course, other areas that we might want to be concerned about. If it's an obsession about conversations to the point where it is interrupting the things that you want to get done, or your life or your relationships, then we've entered into a realm where we might be having obsessive and intrusive thoughts. And having obsessive and intrusive thoughts is definitely something that we need to deal with a mental health clinician, because something else is going on. But if it's just your average, no, I run through it a bunch of times in my head, that's different, right? I'm talking about not being able to do other things because you're so consumed by thinking about that. That's different. So that's my take on that question. I hope you found that helpful. I am just about out of time, so I do have one more question on my phone that I just got the other day. That one's going to have to wait till May. But if you have a question for me, if you want me to answer your question on Asking Spectrum Women, you can go ahead and comment wherever you saw this video. You can email me directly at info@beccalory.com, or you can head to my website, beccalory.com, and use the contact page on that website to go ahead and email me directly. It comes right to me. So those are the ways you can get in touch with me to ask me your questions for May. I am always accepting questions, so you can send them whenever, and I do them as they come to me, right? I do them in the order they come to me, usually, unless I forget one. Sorry. And that's about it for today. I hope you guys have an amazing April. Stay in alignment. Remember who you are. Be authentic. And try and shut out the white noise of ignorance that's out there for this month, you guys. Be the change. Be the educator. Show people who we are and what our culture stands for. And that we're not just about raising money for. Yeah. Happy April, everybody. I will see you in May. Have a good one. I'm Becca Lory Hector. Have a great day. Bye.